Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Happy New Year's Eve morning. New Year's evening morning. Is that right? Anyway, hi, everybody. How are you doing? Welcome. If this is your first time here, I just want to say thank you for popping in. My name is Ronei, and oops, there it is. And it is a pleasure to have you here this morning. This is a little show that I've done for quite a while here on several different platforms, and it's called Coffee Talk with Ronei. And I am so glad that you decided to pop in and say good morning. So, in the comments below, please make sure you say hi. Tell me where you're coming from. Good morning, Sarah. How are you doing? Last 2018 morning. Yep. I don't know about you. I have mixed emotions. You know, 2018 was like a really cool year, but then 2018 had some really sucky parts that lasted a little longer than others. I'm not going to lie. So I'm glad to say goodbye and start over. I don't know about you, but anyway, good morning. So it's good to see you. Hope you're starting your morning off with something nutritional and good for you. For me, that happens to be coffee. And today's featured mug is a very special one. I get it out rarely because it's a china cup, but it's a cup. And the broadcaster is on. That was my notification to let me know that I was live. This cup is from England. And if you look at it, it has a list of all of the names of the king and here, I'll go this way so you can read it this way. But it's all of the kings and queens of England since the year 1066. Entire British monarchy line on a cup. Talk about a legacy. Can you imagine? The monarchy is able to trace the lineage all the way back to the year 1066. And if you ever get a chance to go to London or go to England at all, see some of these historical sites and the stories, how these things have been preserved for centuries, the history and the legacy of this monarchy and the interesting stories that are connected to them. So, speaking of stories, a lot of them in 2018. Do you remember some of the highlights of the year? And you can go on right now. I mean, Google has a great one. It's about 2 minutes long that highlights some of the top stories. I mean, we had the Winter Olympics. We had, do you remember the Thai football team that was stuck in the caves because the tides came up? And so, do you remember that? We had the Mars rover landing. We had so many great monumental things and all stories of people doing some extraordinary things. And then unfortunately, we lost some important people. That was tough. And I pulled up that list because that, when you think about it, and of course, the one that comes to mind first is Aretha Franklin for me. To lose a voice like that. Aretha was a trendsetter in music, in history, in vocal talent. How many years her career spanned. We also lost Burt Reynolds. Smokey and the Bandit. Great actor. Funny man, too. Had a lot of fans. He was a big heartthrob during the 70s. People that did great things, but we don't understand why we lost them, like Anthony Bourdain. I love this article here which said nothing scared Anthony Bourdain when it came to food. He unabashedly sampled all kinds of cuisine. He said a little quality time once in a while, sweating and shaking on the cold bathroom floor, is well worth all the truly great meals I've had in my life, and I wouldn't have had them if I'd been afraid. Did you have anything happen in this last year that kind of held you back, that made you afraid of what was happening? I know I did. I actually had, here was my biggest struggle. of 2018. And as I was, I had to watch so many of my friends this past year lose loved ones. You hear about it happening to people, but to have it happen to you close, of course, I experienced my own loss over a span of, about 3 or 4 years. I lost a series of relatives over and over in a period of a few years. Um, and so I've walked through that. And so this past year has been spent really watching some of my friends lose their loved ones in different ways. And that's tough. People have been through some difficult things, and I think that 2018 has been a challenging year for us in a lot of different ways. Kate Spade, right, Sarah, that's another one that we don't understand. We don't understand what happened. Um, Brilliance. Here's some of the people you probably didn't know about. So Kitty O'Neill was a daredevil, but no wonder you didn't know it. She was Linda Carter's stunt double on Wonder Woman and wasn't afraid of anything. Then we had Stephen Hillenburg, the former marine biology teacher who created SpongeBob. Raise your hand if SpongeBob became a part of your life, right? Then we also had other people in television, Stephen Bochco, who created Hill Street Blues, LA Law, NYPD Blue, Jerry Van Dyke, the brother of Dick Van Dyke, who is still alive. We have icons like Kirk Douglas and Olivia de Havilland that are 102 years old. Imagine what they've seen in their lifetime. We lost actress Charlotte Rae from Different Strokes and The Facts of Life, Olivia Cole from Roots, David Ogden Stiers from MASH, Robin Leach, host of The Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. Let's see, astronaut Alan Bean, one of the 12 men who walked on the moon. We lost scientist Stephen Hawking and the work that he did. We lost comic book legend Stan Lee. Actress Margot Kidder, who played Lois Lane in the Superman movies. Roger Bannister ran the distance in record time. A 25-year-old medical student, he became the first man in the world to run a mile in under 4 minutes. Microsoft's Paul Allen changed the way that we live. He put a computer in just about every home. People think Steve Jobs did it, but Steve Jobs put the Mac in homes, but it was really Paul Allen's work that started it. Ted Dabney showed us you didn't need a computer to play video games. The co-founder of Atari tinkered around with old TV parts and gave us Pong. Let's see, who else did we learn? Vern Troyer never spoke as Mini-Me, but he sure made us laugh as he took on Austin Powers. So many great people, so many creative people, so many people who did great things and lived their lives, like John McCain, Senator John McCain, who battled brain cancer and yet stood up as a man who believed. He says, I was raised in the concept of belief that duty, honor, and country is the lodestar for the behavior that we might have to exhibit every single day. Some great people. So if you look it up, you can see your year-end list in review. We lost the Reverend Billy Graham. Of course, we lost President George and Barbara Bush. Both of them lost in the same year. We lost several musician people like Mac Miller, the DJ Avicii, jazz singer Nancy Wilson, Vic Damone, Dolores O'Riordan of the Cranberries. Sometimes losses that we can't explain as to what happened. Neil Simon, the toast of Broadway. Director Penny Marshall. You remember her as Laverne from Laverne and Shirley. So many great people who've gone before us and done great things with their talent, faced huge obstacles. Sometimes their own demons were what brought them down. And yet they left behind a legacy of greatness that we can all enjoy for years to come. Good morning, Sherry. Happy New Year. Well, Happy New Year to you and your mom as well. Thanks for being here. So, a year in review, we accomplished a lot of things. Maybe we look back on some of them and we're not proud of them. Maybe there are some that we wanted to complete, to do or complete or have accomplished by now that we're still working on and we haven't quite finished. Um, Looking back on your year and thinking, what are some things that you learned? And then what are some things you want to do going forward? So I have a podcast that I love to listen to. It's by author Gretchen Rubin, and it's called the Happier Podcast. And she and her sister, so she has segments that she does on her own, just giving you a little bit of happiness, a little bit of joy. She wrote a book called The Happiness Project back in 2009. And it was about her own story of an epiphany moment she had, where if she would systematically put some concerted time and effort behind different areas of her life, so it was her marriage, being a parent, and did it in incremental steps, she was able to go back and look at it in a year and realize all that. And she started with things like cleaning out her closets and doing. She wanted to get a little bit happier. Even though she was a happy person, could she be even happier? So I kind of grabbed onto her podcast and had been listening even back when she was talking about the four tendencies. We talked about this back earlier in the fall, this book that she wrote called The Four Tendencies. But earlier on, she wrote a book called The Happiness Project, and she has a great podcast. And in that podcast, she and her sister, let me see if I can, it's down here. It's episode 199. And this is where she and her sister talk about things that they did over the year. And Gretchen goes down her list of 18 for 2018. So she wrote a list of 18 things for 2018. And she goes over them with her sister and they talk about, oh, did they get that one done? Oh, well, that was a cool one. Or no, we didn't do that one. And it was just an interesting look at how she sets goals for 2018. So I loved that idea. I thought it was a really fabulous idea of listing things, because a lot of times we start with, three things or two big things. I think we tend to make New Year's resolutions so universal that we don't really see any way to actually make it happen. And we've talked about, good morning, Carol. How you doing, my friend? Good to see you. So, we always set goals like, I want to lose more weight, or I want to go to the gym more, or but we don't ever set, and you've heard them talked about on other, influencer sites or even books about setting SMART goals, tangible, time-bound goals. And Gretchen Rubin talks about them as incremental, concrete steps, right? Good morning, Mary. Good morning. Good to see you. I'm glad you made it. So I thought, because I looked back over 2018, and 2018 was the first actual full year of Michael and I being married. So this was the first full new year into this new phase of both of our lives. Both of us being married to another person and really sort of grafting our two lives together. And, it's when you're in your 50s and a newlywed, you come with a lot of stuff. I have lots of stuff. In fact, I still have stuff in Tennessee. And Michael has a lot of stuff. Family things that you've acquired over several years. And so when Gretchen talks about cleaning out her closets, believe me, I totally get it. And I don't know if you guys are doing that, but do you ever get the sense you just got to purge? I don't know what it is about the New Year's, but it makes people just feel like they want to start with a clean slate, right? So I really thought it would be a good idea to create my own 19 things for 2019. And so I really sat down and thought, okay, if I was going to make a list of concrete things that I could do or that I wanted to do in 2019, um, just start writing them down and really look at them and see which ones are really possibly able to do in 2019. So some of my goals are big goals. Some of my goals, and I really looked at them and realized that I wrote them in very general, vague terms. And so it's causing me to go back and look at them and put some specific time limits on them, right? When I sat down to do this, I made a list of like 26 things. Now, you know, Gretchen talks about doing 18 for 2018, and some of them she hit and some of them she didn't. So I'm trying not to make my list too long, but some of them are really simple things. Let me see. Let me pull up I'm going to pull up my list here. Some of them are really simple things like read more. At first I started off with read more fiction in 2019. Well, that could mean I would read 1 or 2 books, right? So I set a goal of read at least 1 fiction book in every month of 2019. Now that's a challenge. That means I have to have a book selected and I need to dedicate the time to read it if I'm going to complete it in that month. That's 30 days. Can I read a book in 30 days? I read books in 30 days to work on them. So why can't I read them? So I need to read more fiction. When I look back at my Goodreads list of the books that I read this year, a lot of them are nonfiction books. In fact, I think only 1 book on the list is fiction, The Immortalists. Everything else was a nonfiction book. But 2018 was a big change year for me, a transition year. And so I was focusing on looking at things that would help me improve my business and improve myself. And just deal with changes. So some of my goals are simple, like move Milo, my kitty, from Nashville to Dallas. He's been in the house in Nashville all this time because until we could get things settled here in our house in Dallas, I didn't want to move my pet and freak him out, right? So I have some concrete goals. So what are some concrete goals that you want to set? Are you making goals like, if you say, okay, I want to lose weight in 2019. How about if you say, I want to lose 5 pounds by March 1st? Or I want to lose, can you lose 5 pounds by March 1st? That's like a pound a month. Because then what happens is once you see the momentum of you actually accomplishing the goals, it builds and builds and gets you excited about doing those other things. I know that after I lost my late husband, Sam, it was all I could do to get up and function in the morning. And my live stream show was birthed just off of my disciplined effort to get up every morning and put makeup on, look presentable, and sit down and make a cup of coffee and do something. And so it was a great outlet for me to walk through some rebuilding areas of my life. I started with small things and I got those things accomplished. So it's really helpful for me to begin building that platform back. Now, last year was a challenge for me because I allowed things that people did and said to completely derail me. And it's harder when the disappointments come from people close to you in your inner circle. And so that's when I came across Gretchen's book, right? The 4 Tendencies, about how we deal with expectations, both outer and inner. When we face disappointment, how do we handle them? And then, I talked about this before when we discussed these books. Lisa Tucker's book, It's Not Supposed to Happen This Way. It's not supposed to be this way. Someone actually put this on a book cover and made the book and talked about it, right? A thought that I had in my head, and it was a book. And so I realized that by going through these 2 books, that the disappointments and heartaches and things that happened in my life happen to everybody, right? We deal with heartache, we deal with loss, we deal with disappointments, we deal with schedule flubs, we deal with life changes. And it's how we respond to them that is going to determine the outcome, right? And so 2018 was a great year. I mean, I look back over my pictures and I mean, I walked through Windsor Castle this year. God save the Queen. I walked through Windsor Castle this year, and yet I had some of the loneliest, tear-filled moments of disappointment. Now, the only way I can fix that is to fix me, to fix my own perception on how I see things, how I see life, and how I take tangible steps towards creating a list. So I want to challenge you to make your own list. Write them down and write them down specifically. Here, let me see if I can share my screen. And some of these you may recognize, you know, some of the, and again, this list is in flux. So I haven't really finished it. I'm still tweaking it, but I'm setting myself a challenge because I really want to see if I'm really going to step up to the plate and take a swing at some of these things, right? So I'm going to share this with you. I'm going to wait for it to come up on my screen. There it is. All right. I'm going to pull this one out for a second. So here's my list, right? Oh, I have to put fiction here because that's what I was doing. So I have something, get my weight down below 130 pounds. Supposedly, according to my body mass index, I'm supposed to be, at 128. So, because I'm a tiny person. So I want to get my weight under 130. If I don't get it there, I'm not going to beat myself up over it. But that's going to help me set some tangible goals to keep an eye on my diet, my health, and exercise. I love going to yoga class. I have discovered this year that I love yoga. And so that's helped me. You have your, hi, Tiffany. Oh my gosh. Okay. These comments have all of a sudden started. You have your 19. You're still praying how to make some more specific, but it's mostly done. Me too, girl. Me too. Right? Hello, Michelle. Good to see you. You have to be specific, right? Or otherwise they won't get done. Good morning. Oh, good. So popping in, but these guys, the comments just like flew in all of a sudden. So if I missed yours, I'm so sorry. So some of my goals, where did that go? Did I lose it on my screen? Where is it? Oh, I did. Hold on. Let me show you. Where is it? All right, here we go. I think I clicked the button and they just dropped off the screen. So again, notice one of my goals is move Milo to Dallas. I have Scrivener. I've used it a little bit. I need to get better at it. I have InDesign. Want to get better at using that. Notice clean out my storage unit in Tennessee. Clean out my garage in Tennessee. Guys, I've lived in Dallas. It keeps popping out. That's so weird. I've lived here in Dallas now for over a year. And I still have stuff in my garage in Tennessee. So if you're feeling behind in your goals, let me just encourage you. It happens. Life happens, man. There it is. You have 2 big goals. You need to make a list of more smaller goals. Well, Michelle, listen, go back and listen to Gretchen Rubin's podcast. It's episode 199. She and her sister talk about the whole process of how they did this and why they did it. And it's really important. You have found that writing the tasks down helps you achieve them. Yes. So, and again, this is a list that I believe is going to be in flux. Don't beat yourself up if your list changes. Okay. I need to renew my passport. Why does it keep popping out of the screen? I need to renew my passport. I want to have professional headshots taken. I need to find a new doctor and chiropractor here in Dallas. I've lived here for a year. I go back to Tennessee and I plan my doctor appointments for when I'm there because I haven't done it yet here. These are things that I need to notice. These are small things that really even deal with my life, things in my life, because that's going to translate into what I do with my business. Now, I also have things on here like make my first $1,000 through my website platform. I'm really excited, guys. I want to just give a huge shout out this morning to Velmont. She is my VA. She lives in the Netherlands. I am so appreciative of her help. I'm looking forward to working with her more in 2019. But she has been a huge asset in some. And I never thought that I could afford a VA. And that was my own obstacle in my own way of accomplishing the things that I want to accomplish. So again, goals in 2019 and write them down specifically, okay? Yes, saying goodbye and fully closing chapters is hard. And I don't know about you, but going through those, there is a grieving process that is required to let it go. Now, some things I am just like, ooh, bye-bye. I am so glad to see you go. It's just, right? You know what I mean? But when they're deep, life-connected things, and your life is taking a shift, there's an adjustment that happens, a letting go of the former and embracing the new. And you know, the Bible talks about that. The Bible talks about our character and so I've been reviewing also some scripture verses that I feel, oops, sorry about that. My screen is jumping because I was looking up something. I've been looking at some verses about character because as I ponder a word, that word keeps coming back to me over and over. Now, bear with me here, okay? Got to get a move on this morning. Thanks. Okay, Michelle, listen, thank you so much for being here, my friend. Love you. I know you've been there. I'm excited to see your next book come out this year. Great things are happening for you too. So love you, my friend. Mwah. Have a great day. So I really started pondering about this thing about character. Now, I wrote some notes to myself because, again, I'm trying to write this down. So the word character in literature, characters are the main actors in the story. Everything happens either to them or through them. Depending on how they respond to the conflicts that come up in the story plot, right? Okay. And how the author writes about them, how the author has good character development. So you get to know the character and understand what motivates them, right? So these characters develop and grow over the course of the story. Now, since we cannot control all the circumstances that happen in our lives, the only thing we can control is how we respond to them as a character in our own story. That's kind of what Gretchen Rubin talked about in her book, about responding to not only expectations, but also disappointments. And that is how character is formed. So when I got to thinking about mine, and by the way, don't get me wrong, I tend to think that I'm a pretty cool person. So, and yet there are areas of my character that I know can be improved because we never fully arrive. We only grow and develop. So I realized there were some things about my character that allowed me to be weaker and vulnerable in some areas because I'm going to remain a very open and honest person because I believe that being authentic online, if I'm not the same person that you meet in real life as I am here, I'm kind of defeating my own effort. So I wrote a note that said, I discovered that there were weak spots in my character that caused me to trust the wrong people in 2018. These weak spots were due to my tendency to want to please everybody, to help everybody, to love everybody, and to be a cheerleader for everybody. Sadly, this isn't reciprocated most of the time. And when I look back at the biggest disappointments of 2018, the common thread was because I blank. I wrote that as a blank because I know there are things that I did that got in my own way. And I can only fix those if I work on my character. And so when I think about the struggles that I went through um, in my uh, in my walk this last year, and I'm going to try to find where is the uh, um, let's see. I'm going to look up some things because I had there they are. I looked at the verse in the word suffering came up because the things that we suffer over a year and a lot of struggles, a lot of heartache, a lot of disappointments, things that we suffer. Why did we go through them? And some of us are so ready to kick 2018 to the curb, we can't get there fast enough, right? We got the rest of the day, folks. So here's something interesting. You know, the scripture that talks about we rejoice in our sufferings, knowing that suffering produces endurance, and endurance produces character, and character produces hope, and hope does not put us to shame. How about that? The concrete steps on how to get there and build. So that's kind of been floating around in my sphere here in these last few days. And again, God, tomorrow's the day. Tomorrow is the beginning of a new year. You're off to help the kids open their first bank accounts. Excellent. Well, congratulations, Tiffany. Y'all have fun. Thank you. Um, that cheerleader thing does come back negatively sometimes. Right. Right. Um, I think Cynthia Hendricks said it. Wait, she's talking about fangirling, right? How much we need to be our own cheerleaders and remember that there are things that we're working on and accomplishing too. So, with that in mind, that's why in listening to Gretchen's podcast, um, a lot of people are starting the 19 in 2019 thing. So, I want to challenge you: make a list. Make a list, make it, and then go back through your list and edit, right? That's what we do with characters when we're working on story development. We edit because we want our readers to follow the story, to connect with the characters, and take a ride with them through a moment in their world, right? And so that's what we're doing. We are walking and living in this life, coming in contact with lots of different characters, we ourselves being a character in our own story. And we got another year, we got another chapter ahead. What are some things that you want to accomplish? Okay. So I'm looking at some fun things for 2019. I hope you are too. Whatever they are, that has challenged you, that has tripped you up this last year, that has slowed down your progress, listen, you can carry those things into 2019 and get those things done. You can still work towards those goals. Maybe some of the goals that you had in 2018 were not meant to be finished in 2018. Maybe they're longer term goals, right? Do I have a link? Do I have a link for my website? Yes, I do. I have a link for my website. That's where you're going to want to make sure you are. Let's see. Here we go. There is the link right there. You want to sign up for my email list, subscribe to get the emails and the notifications from my site because there's going to be some interesting things ahead. I discovered that I have a new feature on my website platform that is called Community, and it's like having a group, but it's not on Facebook. Good things ahead in 2019, folks. So I'm really excited about some of the things that I'm going to be sharing. In the comments below this, I will share the link to Gretchen's podcast. Make sure you like my business page so that you can get notifications of everything I'll be sending out. A link to Gretchen's podcast and the challenge for 2019. And I would love for you all to join me. So make sure you sign up. Oh, the podcast. Okay. Yes. Let me get that episode for you. Hang on just a second, and I will put it right here in the notes here. Let's see. But it's episode 199. Let me pull that up. But it's a great episode. When you listen to it with her sister, it'll just, and hopefully it'll spur you on to maybe create some of that for yourself. Let me give you the link right here. But if you go to GretchenRubin.com, click on podcasts, and then scroll down, you'll see episode 199 come up in her list. Oh, love you too, Rosie. My talented musical cousin. I'm going to have you on in the interview, Rosie. Talk about your CD, talk about your music, talk about your journey. So beautiful. Set your intention for 2019. Yes, absolutely. So here's that link again for Gretchen Rubin's podcast. Check it out. I hope it inspires you to set some tangible goals for 2019. And then make sure that you sign up for my website. I have a free gift that I'll send you just for signing up. It's my list of 12 words to cut from your writing. If you're wanting to write in 2019, I'd love to help you. I'm working on a course right now called How to Write Anything, and hoping to launch that by this summer. But I really want to help you. If you want to tell your story better, develop your characters and your stories, or just help write something simple. Maybe you have some website content or press releases or whatever you need. Let me know how I can help you. So go to my website, click on that link, join my email list. I would love to chat with you. And then below where you'll send me your email so I can send you the gift. And then right below that is a link where you can click and have some coffee with me one-on-one, and we can chat about your writing needs or a project you're working on or anything like that. So let me know how I can help. I hope that you're encouraged. We're going to do better in 2019, guys, because you know what? Tomorrow's January 1st. And the clock is ticking. So let's get busy. Let's make today. And hopefully, I don't know if you're working today, you're not working today, spending time with your family, having fun. I hope you ring in the new year in a safe and happy way, and start your new year on the right foot. So guys, thanks so much for all of you who've been here in 2018 on these broadcasts, commenting, posting. I love you all. Thank you so much for being a little part of my online community. And I can't wait to see what we do together in 2019. All right. So hope you have a great Monday. Happy New Year. And I'll see you in 2019. All right, guys, be sure to like this page and make sure to set your notifications so that you'll know when I go live next time. All right. Happy New Year, everybody.